Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Legendary musician Tommy James from Tommy James and the Shondells is today's guest. Tommy will talk about his 5 decades in music, as well as his best-selling book that's being made into a major motion picture.
The word legend is thrown around a bit loosely today. A great life and entertainment, world-renowned. This is no small task. Today's guest has stood the test of time, film, song, best-selling author, and more. Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells has certainly spanned the globe. Tommy, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's great to talk with you.
Such a pleasure. So let's talk some numbers, some crazy numbers. I would read your bio and resume, but it would have to be a 3-hour show. So I'm going to try to condense it. We're talking 23 gold singles, 9 platinum albums, over 100 million records sold worldwide. 32 Billboard Hot 100 chart hits. Moni Moni, Crystal Blue Persuasion. The list goes on and on. So I have to ask you, when you were younger, did you ever have even the audacity to dream? I know you wanted to be in the music business, but did you ever think your resume would look like this?
No, honestly, I haven't. The good Lord has been very good to me over the years, and I appreciate it very much. When I started out, of course, all I wanted to do was be one of those rock and roll guys.
Right.
That's the only ambition I had. And I started my first band, of course, I was very young. I was like 13 years old, and started working for money. I guess that's what the definition of a professional is, but I didn't feel like one. And so I started out very young, got a job in a record shop where I could promote my band right along. And then as a result of working in a record shop, I had 2 record deals before I was out of high school. And the second one was a little label started by a local disc jockey in my hometown of Niles, Michigan. And it was called Snap Records. And I recorded 4 sides for Jack Douglas, who was not the famous Jack Douglas, but a local disc jockey named Jack Douglas, who started the label. And one of the 4 was Hanky Panky, which ended up being our first hit record. Mm-hmm. And I won't bore you with all the details, but the bottom line is that I was very lucky to get it right out of high school, basically. I took my band on the road in 65, that's the year I graduated. And again, from my hometown of Niles, Michigan, and took my band on the road. And we played Chicago clubs, and we played all around Chicago and the Midwest. And in early 1966, March of 66, right in the middle of my 2 weeks at a dumpy little club in Janesville, Wisconsin, we got shut down. The guy apparently didn't pay us taxes. So the IRS shut the club owner down, and we got sent home. But as I said, that's how the good Lord works, because as soon as I got home, I got the call that changed my life, and that I would never have gotten if I had remained in Janesville for 2 weeks.
Right.
That this record, Hanky Panky, that I had recorded 2.5 years earlier with my high school chums, was sitting at #1 in the city of Pittsburgh. And so it was a distributor in Pittsburgh who had bootlegged the record.
Wow.
Sold 80,000 of them in 10 days, and we were sitting at #1. Wow. And the record took off so fast and hard that they contacted me right on the little record label. It said Snap Records, Niles, Michigan. So they contacted, guess who? The record shop that I used to work at, who gave them my number, and they tracked me down and asked me if I would come to Pittsburgh. Well, I couldn't put the original band back together. So I went alone with the producer of the record. And sure enough, I got to Pittsburgh and Hanky Panky's #1 on all the stations. And so I sort of grabbed the first band I could find there, a group of working clubs as the Raconteurs, and I renamed them the Shondells because that was the name of the group that was on the record, and formed a new group of Shondells and a new manager I got in Pittsburgh, and went to New York a week later and to sign the record to a label, a major label, to take it all over, take it internationally. And we got a yes from CBS, we got a yes from Atlantic, we got a yes from RCA and Laurie Records, and finally the last place we took it to was Roulette Records. So I went to bed that night feeling so great because we were probably going to be with one of the big corporate labels, and Atlantic or Columbia, maybe Epic, and everybody wanted Hanky Panky. So the next morning, about 10 o'clock, I started getting calls from all the other labels that had said yes the day before, and telling me that, listen, Tom, I'm sorry, but we got to pass.
Wow.
I said, what do you mean you got to pass? I thought we had a deal. And Jerry Wexler up at Atlantic told me the truth, that Morris Levy, the head of Roulette Records, had called all the other record companies and backed them down.
Wow.
And told them, this is my record. Back all of them. Talk just like that, too. And they did. And so we were apparently going to be on Roulette. And that's literally how I ended up on Roulette Records. I'm sorry to be so long-winded.
No, I love that.
That's how it happened. And so anyway, that's how we ended up on Roulette Records, who took it, by the way, to #1 all over the world.
Wow.
The summer of '66. So that's how it worked out for me.
Well, the stars certainly aligned. I mean, talent is obviously not enough, but your perseverance, I mean, being in high school and getting the calls that you're talking about are not normal calls for a 30-year-old to get, let alone someone in their teens. But let's talk about the flip side of that. You're beginning your 51st year in the music business. Few artists can make that number. So what's your secret to staying relevant and performing in so many concerts each year?
Well, the fans have been really great to us over the years. And honestly, I look out at our concert crowd and I see literally 3 generations of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm very thankful for that. I mean, the fans have stuck with us and been with us the whole way. And, we still are playing to honestly sold out crowds across the country. And I'm very thankful for that. And we have our own record company and we can release product whenever we want to. And so we release a lot of repackaging stuff, but there's so many gadgets now to hear music on, your iPhone or your, this, that, or the other. And so we're very fortunate to have this kind of longevity. I never in a million years thought in 1963 when we made Hanky Panky that I'd still be playing it in 2024. Never in a million years.
Maybe you thought you'd be playing it in your living room, but not in front of sold out crowds. And I've been blessed to be in those crowds. But Tommy, on my show, we often talk about the story behind the glory. So what obstacles have you faced throughout your career?
Oh my God. Well, the first one, of course, was we wrote a book about it, Me, the Mob, and the Music. Mm-hmm. The first major challenge was that Roulette Records, in addition to being a functioning indie label and a good one, musically, they had a lot of hits. But they were a front for the Genovese crime family, in addition to being a record company. And so that definitely changed my life. You know, we were trying to pretend we didn't notice things that we did notice. We were, you know, constantly having to live with this threat over our head. You know, getting paid was like taking a bone from a Doberman. You know, it just wasn't going to happen. So we were really not getting paid for a large part of my career from roulette. We weren't getting mechanical royalties. Now we were making money in concerts. We were making money from songwriting, you know, BMI, and we were making money in other way commercials and all the things we were involved in. But mechanical royalties were just not going to happen at Roulette Records. There was a standing joke among the promotion men back in the 60s that National Geographic magazine was looking for the quietest place on earth. And it turned out to be the royalty department at Roulette Records. So at any rate, that kind of gives you a glimpse into what we were going through, first of all. And always with this threat that, you know, these were mob guys, a lot of them. And so, but on the other hand, from a creative standpoint, we couldn't have picked a better place because we were the kings. We had virtually no competition. They concentrated on us. They gave us whatever they had and allowed me to put a production team together and left us alone in the studio and allowed us to evolve. So I was very thankful for that. I can tell you that if we had signed with one of the major corporate labels, like a Columbia or RCA, we would have immediately, especially with a fluke record like Hanky Panky, we would have been handed over to some in-house A&R guy, and that's probably the last anybody would have ever heard from us. We were we would have been lucky to be a one-hit wonder. At Roulette, they actually needed us. Mm-hmm. They hadn't had a major hit in 3 years, really since Easier Said Than Done by the Essex and the follow-up before Hanky Panky. So they needed a hit record, and they allowed me tremendous creative freedom because they simply didn't know how to do it. So it was a blessing and a curse, you know what I mean? Oh. That was the first one. I mean, there were other things, of course, like anybody who's in this business goes through. You know, you have to keep doing it. Right. That was the major challenge, is you have to keep having hits if you're going to have a career. And so we were very fortunate there. I was able to bring in songwriters from Kama Sutra, a lot of musicians, and Jimmy Wisner, our arranger, who helped me a lot. Our studio, Allegro, Bruce Staple was an amazing engineer and really helped me produce records. So, you know, I had to learn all this stuff. I was sort of an on-the-job trainee learning. I think the record, I Think We're Alone Now, I probably learned more making that record about making records in general and particularly for AM radio. And I learned the science of making records. And it's amazingly complicated, making records for the radio and records to go on sale. But I had to learn all that as I went along. And so I'm very grateful to have been on Roulette, believe it or not.
Well, that's so interesting because you mentioned something that resonates with me. My grandfather, who I only met twice, you'll probably know the shows, but he wrote the music for One Step Beyond, the Loretta Young show.
Oh,
yeah. And
One Step Beyond, Alcoa Presents?
Yes. Harry Lubin.
And John Newland. I remember John
No one knows the
Newland
names like you. That's amazing.
I loved that show.
Yeah, he wrote the music. I only met him twice, unfortunately. But when you mention royalties, I remember BMI. We used to, when he died, the different family members got royalties and whatnot. And it's so interesting. You bring up so many interesting points because people don't realize all the time it's the music business. I mean, first of all, Me, the Mob, and the Music. I think it's listed on Rolling Stone as the top 25 music memoirs of all time. So the fact that you mention that, but you see the good and the bad in that is incredible. But I have to say that, you know, I've seen you many times. We already discussed that. I've seen you at Penn Speak and Jim Thorpe. But one year I had very close seats. This was this past year. And the show starts. Of course, it's a great show. But before the show starts, I look and I see some crazy guy in a black outfit jumping up and down. I'm telling you, jumping up and down. And that was you. So yeah. So I saw it. Nobody, you know, I was looking. So I got to ask you, we may have to start charging you. Are you enjoying these concerts as much as we are?
Well, I think so. I mean, let's face it. I don't like traveling coast to coast. I don't like, the grueling work on the road. But I do dearly love performing, and I'm really alive. I'm the most alive, I guess, when I'm on stage performing, and I've always been that way since I was a young teenager. And I still have the fire. I still love to perform, and I still love to mix it up with the audience. And I love how everything is now when you're on stage. You know, there's no past or future. It's now. Mm-hmm. You're right there with the people, and I love how that feels. It's something I've always loved.
Right. And I got to tell you,
I hope that answers your question.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, when I see you jumping up and down, first of all, I didn't believe it was you. It was unbelievable. You're ageless. But I have to bring this up that we go to see you in concert the first time we go, and you leave the stage. So I said to my wife, "Oh my goodness, I hope he's not sick. I hope he's okay." And then a minute later, she says, "There he is. I mean, there who is?" And it's you. Now, I've never seen this before. Whose crazy idea was it? I mean, not to talk about your ego. You have no ego. You are Tommy James, and you come into the audience. I'm telling you, this was first right after COVID. For over 20 minutes, the band does not stop playing. So walk me through that decision. You come out with a guy, I don't think he was 5'5", with a little flashlight, and you are in the mix. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. People who've followed you for decades, their jaws dropped. Who thought of that idea, and what makes you to continue to do that?
Well, it's something that we started doing in the 60s, and it just always has meant a great deal to the audience. The personal touch. And so it's usually during Moni Moni, and we'll come out into the crowd and shake hands with people and sign a few autographs and just hang out there for about 5 minutes. And it over the years has meant so much to the fans, and therefore meant a lot to me. I can't tell you what that physical contact really means a lot, and they never forget it, and they keep coming back to the shows, and it's just sort of become a trademark over the years, I guess. I admit it may be considered a little dangerous, but I've never been afraid of the right. fans, and so it's very satisfying to me personally to touch people, to shake hands or get a hug from somebody. It's very gratifying, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, it's so interesting. It's so powerful that you do, because I remember when I've had the Zombies, Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone on, I said, you guys are backstage. You're not on the line waiting to get in. and it's hard to see the audience from the stage. Do you guys realize how many young people are there? And of course they said, yes, they do. But what can you attribute that to? There are 3 generations in the audience enjoying it, and young people are seeing Tommy James and the Shondells. Can you put your finger on why that is?
Well, I just think that there's such good energy around our catalog, our music. I feel the same way about the Beatles. I feel the same way about the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones, and the Four Seasons, and people who are still working that I love, and it's their music first and foremost that there's just great energy around, and so I'm so proud and honored that people feel that way about our music. I truly mean that. It's the greatest gift the fans can give you is to make you part of the landscape. You know, legitimately, you have a place on the horizon that nobody else has. I think that's such an honor, and I appreciate it so much. And the music has stayed in front of people, you know, on the radio for all these years, and in movies. I have a wonderful relationship with our publisher, Sony Music, and Sony owns the Roulette Masters. They own all the stuff that I did on Roulette, and Warner Brothers owns the recordings themselves. I have all my own after 1979. After 1979, I own everything. But Sony has done such an amazing job of representing me in film and TV and commercials and all that stuff. And they brought me 93 movies since I've been with them. 93. It's just major films that they've put my music in, and representing me so well. And they've done such a great job. The music, because of that, has stayed in front of the fans all these years, and they come to the shows. And as you say, there's 3 generations of them out there, and I really do. That sustains me.
Yeah, that's
just mentally and emotionally and physically.
Probably keeps you young also. But listen, as if you aren't doing enough. I mean, if I do the math, it looks like maybe you get 40 minutes a night to sleep because you're doing so many things, but you even host your own radio show on Sirius XM. So you have your hand in every piece of the entertainment pie, and it is a business. But you take this amazingly interesting, best-selling book, and now it's going to be turned into a major motion picture with people who have producers. I think Barbara DeFina from Goodfellas, and people from Casino and more. So tell me the story about that. You must be beyond excited. When can we expect to see that? Like, what's next for the music?
Well, Hollywood was shut down for almost 3 years because of COVID.
Right.
And then for about another 10 months because of the writers' strike. So Hollywood is back on its own now, making movies again, thank God. And so Barbara DeFina is going to be producing us, she's got such an amazing track record with Casino, the movie Casino, and Goodfellas with Martin Scorsese, and Hugo also a few years ago with Martin Scorsese, The Grifters. I mean, I could go on and on. She's just had a string of wonderful movies. And so she's going to be producing. Kathleen Marshall's going to be directing. And the screenplay was written by Matthew Stone. And so it's wonderful seeing all this come together. And I'm going to have a major hand in it. Going to be doing all the technical stuff. We're going to be shooting a lot of scenes in the studio, reproducing the recording sessions to some of these major records. that we did.
Wow.
So it's going to be a wonderful experience putting it all together. And I couldn't be happier. People say, are you going to make a cameo in the movie? I think I will. I think I'll be a corpse. The lines are really easy.
Yeah, exactly. No memorization. Come on, it's easy.
That's right. I don't have to worry about hitting my mark. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right. But I'm sure before you go on to play the corpse, you'll be jumping up and down in the corner before it's time for you to lay down. So
then I'll lay down.
Yeah. We could talk for hours and hours. I got to say, music legend Tommy James, thank you so much for your authenticity and being such a special guest, sharing your impactful journey with us.
Thank you.
For the
great talking with you, Mark.
Oh,
I mean,
same here. To the viewers, I hope Tommy's legendary journey, and he's still on it, has shown you that anything's possible. Remember, you have the power to make positive changes in your own life. We love to hear from the viewers, so stay connected with us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Don't forget to like and follow us for the latest episode updates and exciting new content. Tommy James, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you. Great talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.